Today, I've decided to give our protagonist, Wolfe Glicke, a little bit of a break, for obvious reasons. And I thought that it would be funny to make a video that's almost completely the opposite of our normal Wolfe Glicke Power Scaling videos. What if we, instead, VGC-scaled anime characters? I originally started writing like an entire script about if just Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen could win a Pokemon regional. And I realized about halfway through the script that there isn't much content to actually make out of having him like go through a tournament run. That video just looks a little bit too weird for me. And that brings us to the idea for today's video. Taking almost every character from a single anime verse or manga verse and ranking their ability to potentially win a Pokemon regional. Avid AndyLa fans will remember that not too long ago I ran a poll with 3 different anime/manga options to vote on, and somehow somebody in the comments immediately clocked what it was for, but I digress. Chainsaw Man and Hunter x Hunter were actually dead tied for the entirety of this poll's run, but I decided to declare that Hunter x Hunter was the winner for a couple of reasons. Number one, I didn't think that I would get the video out fast enough to capitalize on Chainsaw Man movie hype. Go watch it, it's an amazing movie. And number 2, Hunter x Hunter probably makes a far more in-depth and interesting video just because the characters are like smarter on average. And number 3, I'm not ready to completely spoil everything in Chainsaw Man that happens after the Chainsaw Man movie for myself. I would like to experience, most of it pretty fresh. All of that being said, spoilers for Hunter x Hunter, including the parts of the manga that exist after the point where the anime ends. Not that I think we'll ever get that part animated. Hunter x Hunter has probably one of the most well-developed and complex power systems, like ever. And honestly, yeah, some of that will be relevant today. But most importantly for the majority of these characters is going to be their brain power. For the purposes of this video, we will assume that each of these characters will have the time to learn how to play VGC to the best of their abilities, and they will also be able to create a cohesive team that best fits their preferred playstyle. Also, obviously, straight up killing your opponents is not allowed. I could probably make a video featuring every named character in the series, or like every character that has Nen, or every character that specifically has a Hatsu ability, but man, narrowing it down even that far is still so many goddamn characters. So I think I'm gonna go easy on myself and keep it narrowly to characters that are important for the plot of the story, and any other character that I find that interests me. I hope that's okay. It better be. We sorted the characters into 4 categories: the definitely not tier, the maybe tier, definitely yes tier, and the maybe they could even win the world championships tier. Okay, starting off, let's talk about the definitely not tier. We're going to be going mostly in the order that characters are introduced into the story, and the first character that was introduced to the story that we have in this tier is Hanzo. That ninja guy from the Hunter exams. Hanzo, just by virtue of his hilarious introduction where he literally says, "I'm a ninja, it's a secret, don't tell anybody," he's not very smart. At least I don't think he's very smart. And honestly, the only reason that he's on this list at all is that he has recently resurfaced in the manga, and they're fleshing out what his Nen abilities are. He does have the ability to astral project himself away from his body, but his main body falls asleep, and the astral projection is visible to non-Nen users, so he can't even stand behind his opponent to cheat, so he goes in the definitely not tier. Next up, we've got Neon. She has the ability to tell a person's future for the next month, but she can't read her own future, and I don't know, man, I don't think she could win a regional. Alright, I'm gonna lump these next bunch of people all together because they're all Phantom Troop members. We've got Uvogin, Nobunaga, Shizuku, Phaeton, Franklin, Kortopi, Finks, and Bonolanov. And honestly, this is mostly based on vibes, but all of these people in the Phantom Troop, and honestly most of the Phantom Troop overall, they're very strong and they have very interesting Nen abilities, but they just don't seem like they're very smart. It feels like Crollo does all of the thinking for them, so they cannot win a Pokemon regional. Next up is Genthru the Bomber. He got outsmarted by a child. Next. Shoots seems like maybe he's pretty smart, but honestly, I just feel like his confidence is way too low, and I feel like that'll affect his performance in a tournament, so I don't think he can win a Pokemon regional. Alright, next up are some higher ranking Chimera Ants. We have Ramot, Ikalgo, Zazan, Meleoron, Chitu, Blaster, and Hina. All of these characters, while not necessarily stupid or weak specifically, are not particularly inclined to be playing strategy games, if you know what I mean. And then we have another Chimera Ant, who's, one of the Royal Guards, Mentoto Yuppie. Yuppie is obviously not the smartest character. You could argue that he could, maybe make an eye tendril to, peek around his opponents and look over their shoulder or something, but everybody would be able to see that, and that feels very obvious, and I feel like it wouldn't work. Next is Komugi, and Komugi, you might be thinking, oh, she's like a master strategy game player. She is the best person in the world at playing Gongi. That's her whole shtick. She's even better than Meruem, the Ant King. Wrong! She can't win a regional. You want to know why? This has been confirmed after the fact, but basically Komugi has access to Nen, and she is an enhancer, and her Nen ability is specifically to enhance her skill at the game of Gongi. VGC is not Gongi, so she cannot win a Pokemon regional. Next up, we have Alaka or Nanika, or, both, really. And I suppose if somebody wished for the ability to win a regional, they could grant that ability to somebody, maybe. But Alaka cannot make wishes to Nanika herself, so she cannot win a regional. Kabuto has some cool abilities. I'm a very avid supporter of people having anime powers that are just, I use paper as a weapon. I think they're very cool, but I don't know, she doesn't seem particularly smart or versatile enough to have the ability to win a Pokemon regional. And lastly, peering into the manga, we have a collection of the princes of Kakin, who, either by virtue of literally being dead already on the first day of the voyage, literally being a baby, or just by not seeming very smart, will not be making the cut today. The princes on this part of the list are as follows: Momose, Sale Sale, Mariam, Wobble, Fugetsu, Tyson, Lucerus, Camilla, and Topepa. Alright, moving up just a little bit in the world, we have the Maybe tier. This is also a very large tier, so bear with me. These characters I think you could make a very solid, if maybe a little flawed argument for, and the perfect example of what I'm talking about is the main character, quote-unquote, Gon Freaks. You see, Gon is not very smart. I could see literal smoke coming out of his ears listening to somebody try to explain to him what happens when you click Encore into a Pokemon who was going to use a priority move that turn. But Gon is very good at rock, paper, scissors, and in a manga-only scene, Gon explains that the reason that he is so very good at rock, paper, scissors is because he can tell what his opponent is going to throw based on their body language and the way that they move their hand. And I think it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume that he could be good at VGC maybe the same way, and maybe he could win a regional if the plot needed it. Next up, we have like a Deuteragonist. It's not, there's like 3 Deuteragonists, so really he's just like another main character. Leorio. Leorio is also depicted as being fairly simple-minded. However, he literally is a medical student and a really good medical student, so he's got to be at least a little smart, so maybe he could win a regional. Tonpa, yes, the guy Tonpa who is from the very beginning of the manga and never shows up again, is such an early character in the show, and he has taken the Hunter exams literally dozens of times and never passed it. And you might think, oh, he's too stupid to pass the Hunter exams, why is he here? Well, he doesn't want to pass the Hunter exams. He is too busy cooking up strategies to ruin the exam for other people, and I think that if he could apply himself properly to a VGC regional, he could maybe win it. I just don't know if he would be inclined to do that. Next up, we've got 3 Zoldyck characters all at once. We have Maluki, Zeno, and Silva. Maluki just kind of looks like the kind of person who would play competitive video games. In fact, that might even be a confirmed fact, I don't know. And his father and his grandfather are obviously both very smart and experienced, but none of these characters show up in the series often enough for me to know exactly how smart or experienced, so we will be saying that they can only maybe win a Pokemon regional. Similarly to the Elder Zoldicks, I think that Machi and Pakunoda from the Phantom Troop are also obviously some amount of smart and experienced. It's just very hard to tell how smart and experienced. Maybe they could win a Pokemon regional. Now, separately from everybody else in the Phantom Troop, I want to focus on one Phantom Troop member. It is Shalnark. His Nen ability is literally the ability to take control of another person and control their movements. Straight up, if he applied it properly, he could probably win any VGC match. I just kind of think he's stupid. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. Alright, time for a pair of crazy deep cuts. Are you ready? We have Basho and Base. These characters both first appear as bodyguards with Kurapika for the Nostrad family, and basically they just have like interesting abilities I feel like you could apply in a way to help them win a regional. Basho can manifest seemingly anything as long as he can write what is considered a good haiku about it. I don't know who's determining the quality of these haikus, but technically if he wrote a haiku that was good enough, he could maybe win a Pokemon regional. He's probably not that good when we see in the beginning of the anime and the manga, but he is reappearing in the most current arc of the manga, so maybe he'll get some development. Base essentially has a very similar ability to Shalnark, where she can take control of somebody. The condition is that they have to kiss her of their own free will, and I feel like 80% of the people at a regional might just do that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think she'd make it all the way to the end of the regional using this strategy, but she might make it at like day 2. Keeping up with the Nostrad family, we have Melody. Melody seems very smart and has a very neat ability where she can cause people to experience certain emotions by playing her flute, but she can't play her flute at a regional, probably, so I don't know, she just kind of exists in this nebulous, she seems pretty smart, but I'm not really sure how smart kind of zone. Next up, I put Zepile here. Do you remember Zepile? I don't know, probably not. He's like an art buyer, an art connoisseur. He just seems kind of smart to me. I feel like maybe he could do it. Bisky. Bisky is a Nen Master, probably smart enough to win a regional. I really do believe that. But I don't think you could get her to care about a regional unless the prize was some sort of large gemstone. Similarly, I feel the same way about Tesgera, who's, that old guy from Greed Island who helps them in the dodgeball game. He seems pretty smart and experienced, but it's kind of hard to know exactly how smart and experienced. All right. These next two, I'm lumping them together because I basically have the same argument for both of them. It's Razor and Gorenu. Essentially, these two characters have a similar ability to each other. They can summon Nen Beasts that do things, okay? Technically, it's possible they could summon the Nen Beast behind their opponent and cheat by looking at their screen. I really just am not sure if non-Nen users can see these Nen Beasts because we've never seen whether they can or not, and if they can be seen by non-Nen users, then probably this strategy doesn't work and they would just get disqualified. Next up I have Colt, the Chimera Ant, and I don't know, I just think he's smart and maybe he could do it. He figured out what Nen was and unlocked it for himself all by himself. Keeping with other Chimera Ant squadron leaders, we have Leol and Welfin. And Welfin, I have mostly here on vibes. He just, I don't know, I feel like he'd be good at strategy games maybe. But Leol has a really neat Nen ability. He can basically borrow other people's abilities for a short time by either implying that they owe him a favor beforehand or implying that he will pay them back for a favor later on. So, technically speaking, if he could borrow a really good cheating Nen ability from somebody, and I think that he probably could, there's some people higher on this list that are actually his underlings. Spoilers. He could maybe use it in the same way as that person to win a Pokemon regional, and the problem with this is that the time limit's pretty short. I think it's shorter than a VGC match. So he would need to call in a ridiculous amount of favors, and I don't know if that's very reasonable. Next up, we have another Chimera Ant Royal Guard, Shiapoof. Poof is extremely intelligent and has a couple of good abilities that he could probably use to cheat a VGC. He can read people's emotions via scattering his wing scales, and also he can break off a small part of himself into a little clone that he could use to look over their shoulder and cheat with. My main problem with Poof, essentially, is that he's pretty emotionally unstable, and I feel like that's not very conducive to winning VGC games. Alright, next up we have Knuckle. Knuckle doesn't have any specific abilities that I think would help him win a regional, but his Nen ability literally involves around lending and interest rates and bankruptcy, and it's very complicated. So I don't know, I feel like he'd probably have a pretty good grasp of how VGC works. Nov, I put here just kind of on vibes. Obviously he trained Shoot, and he's got to be at least kind of smart. He's got to be on par with the other people in the Chimera Ant arc. It's just hard to know exactly how smart he is. He's maybe not very strong will-powered, but I wouldn't say that you need to have a very strong will to win a VGC regional maybe, so, And also, into the maybe tier, we are throwing all of the Zodiacs that I don't know anything about because they've barely done anything in the story. You have to assume that all of them have some level of intelligence to be able to take up the positions that they have in the Hunter Association, but also, a lot of the time in Hunter x Hunter, you don't necessarily have to be very smart to be very good at Nen combat. So here we have Mazaistam, Peon, Botobai, Gel, Sacho, Ginta, Sayu, Cluck, and Kanzai. Some of them I think are going to get more development in the current arc of the manga, but that's not now, so, it's not going to help them right now. Next up, I've got Tsubone. She's like one of the butlers that works for the Zoldyck family. Do you remember Tsubone? She's mostly just here on vibes. She almost keeps up with all of the antics that are going on with the Zoldyck family in the chairman election arc. So, I don't know, maybe she could do it. And finally, we slip into parts of the story that are only in the manga. And first, we have King Nasabi of the Kakingan Empire. He's the current king. And I only have him here because we know that he had to have won a succession contest to become the king. And the succession contest looks crazy complicated. So, he's got to have some level of, strategic mind going on. And lastly, we have another collection of Kakin princes. Benjamin, Zhangle, Hulkenberg, and Kacho. Benjamin's the general of the Kakin military. He's got to be, at least kind of smart. Zhangle, I don't know, he just, is figuring stuff out. I feel like maybe later on in the manga I feel different, but right now I feel like maybe he could do it. Hulkenberg has a pretty good strategic ability, and also his Nen ability allows him to place the consciousness of one of his followers into the mind of another person, and, he could maybe use that in a regional, but that comes at a very steep Nen price, so I don't know if he could do it more than a couple of times. And Kacho is probably the weirdest one to be putting here. You see, the real Prince Kacho is dead. The Prince Kacho that we have in the story right now is actually Prince Kacho's Nen Beast, who is pretending to be Prince Kacho. And this Nen Beast just seems kind of built different, so I put her in the maybe tier. Alright, those first two tiers were so long, I feel like. How long is the recording? We're 19 minutes into this recording, and I've only gone through the first two tiers. Jesus Christ. It'll probably be less than edited, but Alright, we're moving into some real heavy hitters. This next batch of characters I think could definitely win a regional, and I will be giving you the arguments for that. Let's start once again with one of the main characters. I would say the real deuteragonist of Hunter x Hunter, Killua. Killua has a lot of interesting abilities and feats that would be fun to talk about, but I need to remind myself that I am just trying to prove that he could win a VGC regional. Killua is just so good at making strategies, whether we look at his plan to defeat Genthru in Greed Island, or how he was able to come up with and execute a crazy strategy to beat the Ortho siblings in the Chimera Ant arc, or his crazy plan to lose Illumi in the Chairman Election arc. I feel like it's fair to say that homie is at least Galaxy Brain smart. He could probably win a regional. Alright, from a main character to arguably the first antagonist of the series, we have Hisoka. Now, assuming Hisoka can behave in a room full of children, I think you could make an argument that he's smart enough to win a regional with just his brain power alone. However, his abilities of Texture Surprise and Bungee Gum could also be used to cheat extremely effectively. I'm imagining using Bungee Gum to make buttons get stuck or something like that, and the judge comes over and there's nothing wrong with the Switch console, so the other person just loses. Or you could manipulate their fingers or something. And then Texture Surprise can make disconnect errors appear on the screen, or maybe make the buttons mislabel or change the order of the moves on the screen or something like that. And all of that could also really mess up his opponent. I feel like he could doctor his team sheet with Texture Surprise, so his opponent reads the wrong thing and then he calls the judge over and there's nothing wrong with the team sheet. All of this compiled, definitely Hisoka could win a regional. Alright, Chairman Netero, Old Man Netero. He is probably not the first character you would consider when thinking of somebody who's very smart at Hunter x Hunter, but actually, he's got some brains in there, He's the chairman of the Hunter Association. He is arguably the strongest human Nen user so far depicted in the series. But obviously that doesn't speak to his intelligence. No, I have Netero placed this high because of what he does specifically in the Chimera Ant arc. He has shown several times to predict how events will unfold before they actually happen. And also, his Nen ability, the 100 type Guanyin Bodhisattva, really is just an infinite combo machine. And I feel like to master the infinite combo machine, you have to have some kind of genius level intelligence. So here is Chairman Netero. I think he could do it. Do you need me to explain Chrollo to you? I'll do it. But do you really need me to explain why Chrollo's here? Chrollo has the ability to literally steal other people's Nen abilities. In theory, he could already have access to, or straight up just steal a top tier cheating ability that he could use to win a regional, but I don't even know if he needs it, because this man is literally the brains of the entire Phantom Troop, and he has showcased how good he is at making plans and executing them many times throughout the course of the series. I've got Kite here, mostly on vibes. I feel like in order for him to do the things that he is shown doing in flashbacks in the series, he would need to be pretty smart. So, I don't know. I just kind of think he could do it. Next up, we have Palm. Palm's ability allows her to spy on people she has seen with only her right eye by covering that eye and looking with only her left eye. Basically, my thought process for this is that when she does this, the viewpoint is kind of like from above and like behind the person. So if she looks at her opponent with just her right eye and then covers her right eye and looks with just her left eye, she can probably see their screen and maybe she could just like cheat. This would be like extra effective in like stream matches if the stream is of her opponent's point of view, because she can see that entire screen and there won't be anything in the way. But also, like, after becoming a Chimera Ant hybrid and like breaking the hypnosis on her, she just seems pretty cool and collected and like pretty smart. So I don't know. I think she could do it. Moving on from Palm to one of the people who turned her into a Chimera Ant hybrid, we have Neferpitou. I'm ignoring their crazy Nen abilities because I don't think P2's Nen abilities are super useful here, but let's just look at the fact that literally moments after being born into this world and reading like a couple of books, Pito performed brain surgery with enough precision to force somebody to speak and tell her things against their will. I don't know if you need more of an argument than that, but that is all of the argument that I'm going to give you. Let's talk about a less important Chimera Ant. Let's talk about Flutter. Flutter, I think, has the best cheating ability for, everybody that we've talked about and we're going to talk about. His ability is called Satellite Dragonflies, and basically he summons a bunch of dragonflies and he's able to see through their eyes. This is not very suspicious. A dragonfly is just a bug. And also, it can, fly around, and he can, summon more than one to look around. So, I don't know. He could cheat real easily. He could maybe do it. Alright, let's talk about the character with the most flexible Nen ability in the entire series. Morel. Morel's ability is indeed the most flexible one in the entire series. It's the most flexible one I can think of. He calls it the most flexible one himself. It allows him to create basically anything he needs out of this purple smoke by using this big-ass pipe. And I don't see any way for him to get into the event with this big-ass pipe and use his purple smoke, so he obviously can't use that to win a regional, but Morel is here because his battle IQ is just really high. Homie, won a fight by breathing all of the oxygen out of a room with his giant smoker lungs. Insane shit. He could win a regional. Cheetle is here because, mostly because she's the only Zodiac we get to spend a ton of time with, and she just seems really smart. She almost keeps up with the 4D chess match that's going on between Jing and Periston in the Chimera Ant arc, so I have her one tier below them. Spoilers, I guess. Our last two characters in this tier are both manga only. We have Beyond Netero. Yes, his name is literally Beyond Netero. And Morena Prudo. I have these characters here for very similar reasons, albeit slightly different. Essentially, they're both acting upon plans they have been planning for years right now, and they seem to be just working out. Beyond literally sets up an entire chain of events that lead to the expedition to the Dark Continent in the first place, as well as the Succession War, and he fathered who knows how many children in preparation for this and cursed them all to kill people? Absolutely insane shit. Similarly, Morena is also enacting a plan of revenge against the entire world for forcing her into, let's say, a very tragic fate at a very young age. I will not get into specifics, but her Nen ability also involves a rather complex card game, and it's kind of video game coded, so I feel like she's just got a lot of the skills and a lot of the brains. I think she could do it, and I honestly don't have these characters any higher because we just haven't seen that much of them yet. Alright, we have reached the pinnacle of Hunter x Hunter VGC. These 6 characters, I believe, could not only win a Pokemon Regional, but could probably win the World Championships if they wanted to. Let's jump right in and talk about our 4th main character, Kurapika. Kurapika has a whole slew of interesting Nen abilities. I don't think most of them are very useful for this situation. Maybe he could use Dowsing Chain to gauge what his opponent's gonna do or something, but I don't think that would get him very far. Maybe he could influence his opponent's movements by summoning invisible chains to move their fingers for them. Again, that seems very convoluted. But we're in the highest tier, so I should give you all of the arguments that I can give you. No, Kurapika is here because he's just built different. This man created a successful plan on short notice and with very little actual time to free his friends from the Phantom Troop and capture the troop leader and force him into a position where he would have to give up his Nen forever And this is Crollo we're talking about, who we said definitely could win a regional, so he outsmarted Crollo very, very handily. And, like, that's, like, literally just his baseline feats. The current arc of the manga is focusing on him very deeply, and he's, like, thinking circles around a lot of these people, so I don't know. I think he could win Worlds. Next up, we have Illumi. Now, why do I have Illumi placed above Killua when I think Killua is probably the smarter character by the end of the anime? Well, I just think Illumi's kit is better for this. Really, I think that Illumi probably has like at least equal intelligence with Killua. Maybe Killua has a little bit of an edge because he just is like a freer thinker. But basically, his Nen ability lets him take control of other people. And it's very easy. He just has to like chuck a needle at them and he has control of them. And he is also very smart on top of that, so I think straight up could just cheat his way all the way up to the World Championships. Tell me, how does anybody without none of their own counter an ability such as this from somebody as smart as this? Alright, now it seems only fitting that here at the pinnacle we also have the king of all of the Chimera Ants. Meruem is probably the character with the single greatest intellect and strategic mind that we see in the entire series. He's able to master any game that he's picked up and defeat the world's greatest players in that game, with the exception of Komugi, who we have already said is basically cheating at Gungi. And he does this after like literally just a couple of games. He fought Netero and was able to find an opening through the infinite combo machine that is the 100 type Guanyin Bodhisattva, literally by analyzing Netero's actions and finding very, very slight preferences he had towards certain moves and like threading the eye of a needle with a camel. You know, like, let's be honest. Not to mention, after he absorbs the aura of Yuppie and Poof, he can literally read people's minds at the speed of light. So, he could do it. He could win Worlds. Don't argue with me. As much as it hurts to say this next one, the resident deadbeat dad of Hunter x Hunter is up here too. Yes, Jing Freaks, Gon's father, is also one of the smartest people in the entire show. He's pretty emotionally unavailable for his son, but he has some insane intellect feats. He was able to predict almost everything that occurred in the chairman election, like all the way down until literally the last thing that happened, which he did not predict correctly. He can also replicate any punching type attack that he's ever been hit with. This isn't even like his Nen ability. He's just that good, and he was able to extrapolate what other kinds of abilities the user of the punching ability might have just based on that one attack that he was hit with. Not to mention, he literally made Greed Island. It's like a whole video game world built in the real world out of complex Nen systems that he made personally and then conscripted all of his friends to run for him while he's off doing who knows what, not loving his son. Homie's just that guy. Pariston is probably the character in this tier that I have the least to say about. Really, the only thing of note that I can tell you that he's done for sure was win the chairman election. Mind you, parts of that probably took years of planning and manipulating behind the scenes, but most importantly, he was able to foresee the final outcome of the whole election, and Jing couldn't even do that. So, by default, he has to be at least as smart as Jing. And the last character that we will be talking about today is also a manga-only character, maybe the most terrifying character in the current arc of the series, and that is the last Prince of Kakin on our list, 4th Prince Saraidnik. We haven't seen too much of him so far, but it's plain to see that he's obviously fairly intelligent, if not a little fucked up in the head. And the reason that he's here is because his Nen ability literally allows him to see into the future. I will try not to get into specifics, because explaining how this ability works is about as difficult as explaining, like, King Crimson from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, if you know, you know. Essentially, in the context of a VGC event, he will always be able to see 10 seconds into a guaranteed future. Not only is that future guaranteed to happen, but if he ends his ability at any time, the next 10 seconds will play out exactly as his prediction foretold, with everybody besides Saraidnik only being able to perceive the future that he predicted. And Saraidnik himself can freely change anything that happens, and nobody will notice anything changed until after those 10 seconds are up. See, I explained it anyway, and I really don't even understand what I just said. Don't worry about it, just know it's hyper busted, and then on top of that, his guardian spirit Nen Beast can also tell when people are lying and punish them for lying to him. Maybe it's not important, we don't know what the end result of lying 3 times is, but maybe that will be very important as well. And that's it. We did it. We talked about every Hunter x Hunter character that I cared to talk about based on their abilities and their intellect and their ability to hypothetically win a VGC regional. If I left off your favorite character from the series, how? How did I do that? Is your favorite character this random guy from Greed Island? I don't even know his name. He's got a funny face, I guess. If that's your favorite character, I'm sorry. And also, if you voted for Chainsaw Man in the poll and want to see this kind of video with those characters, you better make damn sure this one blows up, because I will not be doing this again if people don't want to see it. That being said, I don't know exactly how long this video will be, but I think it is at least my longest script that I've ever written. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment. Tell me if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said. Drop all of your hype points for the day onto me. Bless me with those hype points. And honestly, subscribe for the most unnecessary VGC content you will ever see in your future. My name is Andrew. I'll catch you guys next time. Once upon a time, man, I heard that I was struggling. Came from a gym where power creep wasn't coming in. Face long, stats tight, defense up, shack height. Sturdy on me, sash like, got the TM last night. Hit me with that good move, make the smile and act right. Bast boys, bout to hit that builder. I know that's right. Big Bast busting out these body presses, bout to buy a body bag and